Hey guys, it's me, Andrea Taylor from Taylor Family Vlogs. Today is another sit-down vlog where I'm gonna talk about motherly topics. So if you are not a mother and you are not a parent or whatsoever or anything interested with anything that relates to kids or motherhood, you can go ahead and skip this video. But if you are an expectant mother or if you are already a mother and you want to learn more, and I hope I'll be able to provide that quality of information, stay tuned for this video. So in line with breastfeeding week, I want to talk about my breastfeeding journey with Aiden and Travis, and I'm gonna give you tips, I'm gonna give you information that a lot of people have asked me throughout the years of breastfeeding. Some people ask me that are, very weird questions and very common questions, and some people just want to learn more about breastfeeding. I get questions from almost everybody. I get questions from family, I get questions from friends, I get questions from complete strangers, but I still try to answer them honestly and truthfully because I've experienced that phase before when you just absolutely don't know anything what you're doing. You're just given a baby and expected to nurse it. So I'm going to try to answer the frequently asked questions about breastfeeding. So if you are new to this channel, you may not know I am a mother of two boys. Aiden is 3 years old and Travis just turned 1. I've been breastfeeding them both ever since, and this our channel is more of like a travel channel, but I also do a lot of sit down vlogs and a day in the life vlogs and stuff like that. So if you are new, please do subscribe with the subscribe button down here, and I hope you can stay tuned for the next video. Okay, so I forgot to mention that at the end of this video, I'm going to have a little giveaway, so watch out for that. Okay, so we're going to start with a few questions. I have a little bit of questions here. I actually posted on Instagram stories for people who want to ask me questions about breastfeeding, and I got about 10 questions. So let's start with question number 1. What made you decide to breastfeed? Honestly, the reason why I breastfed and decided to breastfeed Aiden was everybody said it's a different experience. Everybody said it's best for your baby, and everybody says that it's best for your baby. So primarily that's why I started breastfeeding, because they say that the kid most probably will be closer to you. There's some sort of bonding with your baby and the mom, and I really believe that, experiencing it. So that's why I decided to breastfeed. Number 2, how long did you breastfeed? So I started breastfeeding Aiden like as soon as he came out of I would say but no, he was C-section. So as soon as he came out of me, I breastfed him, and I breastfed him for a year and about 4 months, and I was already pregnant at the time with Travis, and I was having a really rough time with my first trimester. I was always nauseated, I was hungry, I couldn't eat properly, and breastfeeding just added a lot of stress for me because Aiden was really fuzzy all the time, and he was starting to bite and all that. So we decided to wean him. Biggest challenge of breastfeeding. I think the biggest challenge of breastfeeding, and I tell this to everybody that asks me this question, is the first week of breastfeeding. So at the first week of breastfeeding, you have all these hormones coming out, and everything is just so sensitive. Especially your nipples are going to be super sensitive. They're going to be super soft and not used to a baby trying to feed himself. So and added the fact that your baby might not even know how to properly latch on to your nipples, so it's going to hurt him and it's also going to hurt you a lot. So that's when most moms decide to quit, and most moms just don't want anything to do with breastfeeding. So I always tell people who ask me that question to just try your best to just take in all that pain, and by the next week you'll be fine. Your nipples are going to heal and you're gonna be a pro at it. What pump did you use? So I pump milk. I pump a lot. I am fortunate enough to have a really good supply of milk, and for a time I used to pump like 4 times a day until I stopped, and then I just pump once a day because we did not have any space in the fridge anymore. And the reason why we didn't have any space in the fridge is because none of my kids, and this is true to both times that I breastfed my kids, none of my kids would take the milk, so they only want direct latching. So I would pump so much milk and none of them would drink it, so I ended up having to donate a lot of milk, which was in the end such a good decision. I love that I was able to help out a lot of moms and a lot of babies. So I think roughly been donating milk for about 3 years, and I think I've donated to about 7 to 10 kids. And at some point I was donating every week to this single kid that I had to send my milk all the way to Siargao because the mom and baby was there. So I exclusively just donated to that kid, and then ended up I donated to almost all hospitals because I used to pump so much. And with the question, I'm so sidetracked. With the question, I use a Medela single pump. It's a single pump, not a double pump. I know, like with the amount of milk I had, I should have invested with a double pump, but that was a gift from my father-in-law and my mother-in-law during the baby shower for Aiden, and it just worked. It just worked. It's perfect. I love Medela. I love how you can just buy parts for Medela, because as soon as I went and looked for my pump when it was time for Travis for me to pump, and things were just not clean enough, and it was just wrong, so I just had to throw out a lot of the parts, and I was able to buy it all the parts that I needed, and I think I bought it with Stork. Question number 5. What's your breastfeeding schedule? So I've been asked this a lot of times. I don't know why, and then I end up reading a lot, and people have breastfeeding schedule or like feeding schedules, and I really did not have any feeding schedules because my mom always just told me to breastfeed when there's demand. So as soon as my baby would cry, and that's indication that she's hungry, well, most of the time is the indication why the baby's hungry and crying, so I would breastfeed. So I never really had a breastfeeding schedule. What's the role of your husband in your breastfeeding journey? This is funny. A lot of times people say, or actually there's a lot of memes that, fathers, like the husband, doesn't have anything to do with the breastfeeding, but it's not true. My husband has been super duper supportive. I think with Aiden, since we only had Aiden, my husband would bring me water, would bring me snacks while breastfeed Aiden, because he was feeding for like 30-45 minutes at a time. So I would just be lying there in bed feeding Aiden, or sitting down in a chair feeding Aiden. So my husband would actually bring me food for me to munch on, which was really helpful, and it helps a lot. And when it was Travis' turn, when I was breastfeeding Travis, and at the same time it was like 30-45 minutes at the time, my husband would be the one taking care of Aiden. So that's how he helped. Question number 7. What are the products that I use to help during my breastfeeding. So first was the pigeon nipple cream. So everybody knows that when you are going to have a baby, you really need that nipple cream. And then I used a cover for a while, but none of my kids like being covered while they're feeding, so it didn't work. And nothing much really. I just used the pump at home, but that's it. And then yeah, when we're out, I don't really bring anything. Question number 8, ways to increase milk supply. So I swear by this, and I always tell my friends about this. Man, I can't remember what it's called. So I search it. It is Mother Nurture 7-in-1 Malunggay chocolate mix or coffee mix. So I don't know if you can see. Yeah, so I would drink that and milk. Milk is being produced. So one thing that I love about this is I love coffee, and you know, when you're pregnant, you don't really get to enjoy a lot of coffee, and especially when you're breastfeeding, people always say that maybe just, you know, lay low with the coffee because it might affect your baby. So I like that it has a coffee mix on it, so I can still feel like I'm drinking coffee, but it really increased my supply. Aside from that, she also, this is actually a friend of mine, her Instagram is Mommy Cuddle Hub. I will link it down below. She also does like brownies or lactation brownies, lactation cookies. And even when I wasn't pumping anymore, I would still buy lactation brownies because they're actually really good. Question number 9, when will you stop breastfeeding? So Travis right now is 1 year and 5 months, and people are saying that, you know, just let him wean himself and everything, but I actually really want to wean him soon because I've been breastfeeding for like 3 years now. I think I deserve a break. He's actually been really good. He only feeds at night when he goes to sleep, and if I really do want to wean him, I just hide my breast with a pillow and he would just sleep on his own. But again, that would mean he'll be crying the whole night, so I can't bear it. But I think we're gonna wait it out a little bit longer, and when he's ready, well, I would say when he's ready we'll stop. But at the same time, I kind of refused my breast to him most of the time. Like during the day, I just don't give it to him anymore. Last question, why will you stop? Again, I've been breastfeeding for 3 years, and I think I just need a break. And I know some moms breastfeed for until like they're 5 years old. You know, it's everybody's like opinion, and whatever you want to do, it's your life. But for me, I think I've done enough, and I've supplied enough for my kids, and I've cared enough for them, that I want to focus on some other stuff. Breastfeeding, I think I'm done with that. It's a lot of challenge, and it's really hard. It's not for everybody, but it's really the best for your kid. So that's it for today's video. I hope you learned something about breastfeeding. I hope, you know, this video will encourage you to breastfeed. Again, it's not for everybody, but it is something that is the best for your child. And at this point, when you're a mom, it's not always about you. You really need to think about what's best for your kid. And for my giveaway, this is going to be my first giveaway. I'm going to give away this. It is a silicone breast pump. It's a Haka. It's very famous. It's very famous. I actually haven't used this, but this is one of the things that I wish I had when I was breastfeeding and pumping so much. So apparently when you are like feeding one kid in one, you know, when you're feeding the kid in one boob, you put this on your other boob, and then the milk that usually just goes into the breastfeeding pad would come out here, so you actually store that milk and you can use it. So it's very handy. I've seen a lot of moms do this, and they're very surprised that while they're breastfeeding their baby, it actually fills up a whole thing. So I'm going to give this away for all the moms out there. So mechanics is very simple. First, you have to follow me on Instagram. I will link it down below, and also like this video and subscribe to the channel, as of course. And on the comment section, just give me like a brief story of your favorite time when you're breastfeeding your little one. And if you are not yet a mother and you're expecting to have a baby, just comment down below your expectations when you have your baby. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up and do subscribe if you haven't yet. So I see you on the next video. Bye!
Si el ritmo te lleva a mover la cabeza, ya empezamos como es. Mi música no discrimina a nadie, así que vamos a romper. Toda mi gente se mueve. Mira.